third award is the Shining Star. This award will be given to a member of a not-for-profit who has dedicated his time and talent and made a generous commitment to that organization. Through high acts of volunteerism, the organization makes a significant impact on our community. I would ask Robyn to come up and introduce Harry Stoetzel. Thank you.
Okay, so it takes a whole village to raise a handicapped person. Tonight's recipient of the Shining Star Award started in video productions in 1979. You probably don't know him very well because he's usually in the studio at the high school, or he would be in that big black trailer, maybe at a parade or a sporting event. In 1982, Peggy and Harry Stoetzel bought their first house in Menomonee Falls, and shortly after, he started his production company, making corporate and industrial training tapes. He finished school for computer repair, but with Peggy's blessing, he started Stoetzel Productions. Within a year, he was traveling the country doing work for Life Touch Photography, the University of Notre Dame, and in 1991, he was shooting a documentary in communist Yugoslavia. Later that year, Harry called the high school. Annie, gotta hold that straight. Later that year, Harry called the high school and spoke to then Principal Dick Wusencraft. He was wondering if there were students in a film or media class that would be interested in working for Stoetzel Productions while getting some hands-on training. Dick said sure, and invited him to the school to see the media studio. What he saw was a large, unexcavated room of dirt with piles of broken chairs. The planned media class was still a year or two away. Upon Dick's suggestion, Harry met with the Cable Access Corporation Board to make suggestions on new equipment and furnishings. Along with Cable Access godfather Paul Wickersberg, the New Media Studies Cable Access Partnership had their open house in November of 1992. For the next 14 years, Paul and Harry volunteered, providing most of the programming, running meetings, and Little League games for days on end. In 2007, the need for a full-time coordinator was apparent, and the next era of cable access was born, combining the challenges most community access centers face and ability to push the boundaries on the available technology. Harry made Falls Cable Access one of the models in the state for not only the quality of productions, but the amount and variety of locally produced programs. By 2010, there were 7 regularly taped programs that averaged 60 first-run airings a year. Add to that 50-plus church services, 48 village and school board meetings, 3 parades, a dozen concerts, 50 high school sporting events, and you soon averaged over 200 programs a year. As many first-run programs as at the same time, Falls Cable Access was providing training not available anywhere else. At present, the new age of delivering content in many different platforms and a variety of users is presenting a new challenge for community television. Falls Cable Access is now meeting that challenge and preparing for their next chapter. Community access was created by the FCC in 1976 to protect the First Amendment rights of the consumer. Falls Cable Access has always enforced that protection. They have also provided for the special citizens who volunteer in Menomonee Falls an avenue for promoting their mission statements and projects. Because of Harry's passion for video and commitment to the community itself, we honor my dear friend Harry Stoetzel with the Greater Menomonee Falls Shining Star Award.
My timing is great on this. Thanks. Robyn, don't go too far. I learned something from Robyn about speeches, so this is what I'll be reading. Thank you, Robyn, for that introduction. Thank you, Robyn, for that introduction and for nominating me for this award. I really didn't want to read, but I'm going to have to. I want to first thank the Greater Menomonee Falls Foundation for this award and recognizing the work of Falls Cable Access in the community. I want to thank in particular Sue Jeskowitz, Ann Wonke, and Robyn, and those who advised us on tonight's festivities. I also want to thank all the grant winners for the work that they do here, in particular tonight's award winners, Tim, Russ, and Stan, for they obviously deserve their recognition. I also want to let Tim know, since I think he's been watching the Senate hearings on the new CIA director, that I would be glad to relinquish 3 of my minutes to you. I'll take them. You're going to need them. 20 years ago, I spoke at Optimus for the first time. I was very nervous, and a guy I didn't even know in the back of the room heckled me the whole time. So tonight is payback. I also want to thank some special guests who are here tonight. From Points North, my in-laws, Frank and Mary Widmeyer, Ken and Sue Nyrider, and my sister-in-law, Joanne Clum. And it's not that rare in these parts, but they will tell you that my wife's grandmother, Nettishine, is the sister of Tim's grandmother, Nettishine. We still have no blood relation. From Point South, which I grew up on the south side of Milwaukee, I have here tonight my brother, Tom, and his wife, Cindy. My brothers, did Pat show up? Pat's not here. I have 6 brothers and a sister. My mom and dad had 7 boys before they had my little sister. Anyway, we bought him a TV then. My brother Tom and his wife Cindy, my brother Brian, and my baby sister Susan with her husband David Clark. Don't crane your neck, it's not that David Clark. Also here are my pride and joy, my son Nick and my daughter Ann. And I couldn't be more proud of the people that they've turned into, the adults they've turned into. Not only did they put up with me not being around all the time, but they pulled cables and worked teleprompters, and whenever I needed help running camera, they pitched in. So they were a big part of cable access. And I don't want to forget my son-in-law, Andy, who along with Ann are celebrating their 4th wedding anniversary tonight. It's 4? Sure. Okay, so 1 year. 1 more year of probation. And lastly, my savior, confident friend, and lately nurse, my wife Peggy. Truly, you can't imagine what she puts up with. But it's her support and unconditional assistance. This award would not even be on my radar. I could spend an hour thanking her publicly, but I would pay for it tomorrow. As Robyn mentioned, I got involved with cable access when I offered to put Little League games on the local channel. We taped them with 2 cameras, and the kids got to have their names underneath. I thought it would be a cool thing, and everybody loved it. For some, it was maybe their only chance of ever having that, seeing that on TV. And for others, maybe it was an inspiration they needed for greater things. I soon, after meeting more and more of our neighbors, realized that if I was going to give back to the community, the best way was to use my tools and talent and help the heavy hitters, that's all of you people out there, as they made their contribution to the community. To accomplish this, we needed a whole lot of help, and the original Cable Commission had the foresight to invest in our local TV channel and find a way to keep it going. So I want to thank those people who had the vision, and it's people like Sue Jeskowitz, Dick Wuzencraft, Robyn, Joellen Mulder, Dick Fahrenkoff, Joe Greco, John Stacy, Fran Vanucci, Mike Hurt, and the grandfather of cable access, and I'm afraid he had to leave. Is Paul still here? Many of you I don't know if you remember, Paul Wickersberg is the one who is who kept cable access together and really inspired me to stay involved. He has no idea how much I learned from him. Since 1992, we have had some trying times, and there's no way Paul or I could have gotten through that without the guidance of our board of directors. I want to take pretty pictures, but not run a business. So it's people like Beth Harwood, Dave Zamborski, Tom Shannon, Paul Schrampa, Jack Petroff, and village leaders like Dr. Keith Marty, Dr. Jim Shaw, village board members like Jim Staliga, Mike McDonald, Steve Ramis, Sharon Ellis, Dennis Farrell, Jim Jeskowitz, Randy Newman, and so many others who promoted the work of cable access. None of their support can be overstated. So thanks to all of them. That brings us to our present board of directors. And I'm not sure how many are here, but when you hear their names, it kind of sounds like the Mount Rushmore in Menomonee Falls. These are people who have been around for a long time and put their heart and soul into everything and really don't need to be out front at all. All of them are committed to Menomonee Falls at a ridiculous level for 30 to 50 years each. They each bring a particular skill set and knowledge to our organization, and their guidance has been a godsend. I started my first business 35 years ago, not only because I loved working with cameras and editing, but because I couldn't work for someone. Just couldn't work for anyone. I was not a good employee. Our board has tiptoed around that fact for many years, and I applaud them for their patience. I'd like them to stand. Karen Nelson. Karen had to leave. She did her 200th show last night for Village Voices, and that show has 200 shows volunteered, and everyone knows how sharp Karen is. We helped over 80 different organizations on that show, some of them 20 or 30 times. So thanks to Karen. Dick Becker, of course, is on our board. He's our treasurer, but since Dick's been on the board, we really run it like a board. And we appreciate that. Our municipal judge, Brad Mathieson, is Brad here? You know, they all told me this morning at a meeting they were going to be here. Brad Mathieson, ex-principal Bill Hintz, former village president and Mr. Irrelevant, Rick Reckless. And finally, our board president, Mike Middick, who has put more time and effort into keeping the ship upright. I especially want to thank Mike, our president, so thanks to all of them. Finally, I want to take a second to campaign for the foundation and the groups that I have come to work with in Menomonee Falls. Menomonee Falls did not get to be the best place to live in the world by accident, and I say world. The fabric that this community is built with is woven with a commitment to helping others in volunteerism. And it's installed at an early age here. As a matter of fact, the $250 award this evening I'm giving out is going to the 4-H club, the Busy Beavers. 2 reasons. Great bunch of kids. They're taught leadership early. I've been impressed with them every year that we met them. And I still remember when I was 12 and I pledged my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to greater service, and my heart to health to better living for my community, my country, and my club. So it's especially great that we could do this. And Miss Polly here? Everybody, oh, there she is in back. She's kept the club together for years. They are a 501(c) because they're a charter club. So thank you. learning to give it an early time in your life is so important. And we need people like that to continue the legacy of all of you here. Because I communicate with so many groups, I've seen the membership shrink a little bit and the core volunteers retire or worse, burn out. So we need to look at our friends and neighbors, ages 30 and 40 years old, to join in on the fun. And if not, pledge that estate or property or newfound fortune to the foundation so they can continue supporting these important community groups. We've seen things around the area that really have disappeared or gone quiet. And it's really because we're not getting some of the younger people in to do that hard work and continue on. Let's see. And finally, I want to thank the most inspirational person I've ever met in my life. Whenever I feel sorry for myself or I think it's hopeless and I should walk away, I just say to myself, damn, Robyn. I don't need to tell anyone in this room how much she means to the people here and how many lives she has touched. Raised by two incredible parents, Lou and Alice, she has set an extremely high bar for those of you donating time and money to others. I will say thanks again to everyone for being here, and I will finish with a quick Robyn story. When life throws Robyn a roadblock, she usually says she's got herself into a little pickle. Living near her and being ambulatory at the time, I was on a list of people Robyn would call when in a pickle. So one very cold January day, Robyn called and said she was in said pickle. So I rushed over and found her in her car in the garage with a dead battery. Since the battery was dead, she couldn't open the electric door or put the ramp out. So there she sat. Luckily, she had her cell phone. So I got between the car, the van, and the garage wall, crawled on my knees, opened her door, got my arm in between her legs to get the hood open, and then got stuck trying to get back out. The seatbelt, so a Kodak moment. I got the hood open, started the van, checked her door and ramp, and it was working. I thought all along that she had just gotten home, but I found out she was leaving. So I wanted to stay in the driveway and make sure everything was okay, so I waited while she warmed up the car. And then I thought, well, it's taking a long time, and I want to make sure she gets it checked before she goes anywhere else. So I called her back in the car on the phone, and I said, Robyn, where are you going, by the way? And she said simply, an elderly friend of her mother couldn't drive anymore, and she was going to take her shopping.